Aloha, friends and family, and welcome back to the reading of our cosmic origin. Since all of the existence is cyclical, then Abraham and his descendants, who carried within their DNA the entire original celestial human genetic code, have also been given a promised land as well. Zion, the free world. Considering this today, we may say that America was the Brotherhood of Light's most recent attempt for Zion. It is precisely this promised land of milk and honey that our world would experience if the earthly representatives of the celestial humanoid House of Avion, which stems from the Abrahamic bloodline, would have taken over the affairs of our world. Unfortunately, the Dark Brotherhood, through the earthly reptilian representatives set up by Marduk and his reptilian forces through Nimrod, have been the powers that be and the reason why our world has only experienced suffering and hard living conditions as the wrong DNA program came to power. Again, this entire conflict that echoes in our world today is nothing more than the ancient galactic battle that has been taking place between the descending celestial humanoids, or children of light, and their rival and fallen angels, the Dracon reptilians, or children of darkness. We can now begin to see clearly how a handful of families, the oligarchy, have been manipulating the masses in an effort to impose a total fascist system, not only in the times of Atlantis, but as early as the times that the Bible considers the war in heaven, or the wars of Orion. Except at one point, it involved many star systems in our galaxy as the various star systems took sides. But now this ancient celestial galactic conflict has been reduced to our little planet, which is the most significant world in our entire local universe in which we are a part of. In other words, the Earth is not only the last battleground for light and dark, but also, as it becomes a heaven on earth, will mark the beginning of a new creation, one that has been in divine design since before the foundation of our local universe. Nonetheless, in the ancient world, the Babylonian Brotherhood of Darkness continued their agenda in secret even after they lost power in Egypt thanks to Moses. Moses, the greatest Old Testament prophet, not only saved the children of Israel, those that contend with light, life, and freedom, but managed to establish the grounds for a few hundred years of peace and harmony in the midst of the age of Aries Ram. In the process, the Israelites were led to the Promised Land as they recovered protection by their descending celestial allies, the Nibirian Pleiadian, the angels of the Bible, who apparently continued to influence things for the restoration of light from the invincible fifth dimension and up. This momentum culminated with the once again rise of the messianic earthly representatives of the House of Avion in an effort to establish the kingdom of Zion. These coincided with the emergence of King David, who was the son of Jesse, who was the son of Perez, who was the grandson of Judah, who was the son of Jacob, and carried the highest concentration of the 12 energies as direct descendants of Sarah and Abraham. Therefore, the kingdom of King David was considered a true commonwealth in the occidental world of the Middle East, and through his son Solomon, they were going to bring freedom to the rest of the planet. However, Their time was not yet in season, for we were well into the age of Aries, Ram, which according to astrology is ruled by the god of war, hence Marduk. Unfortunately, this temporary triumph of the Brotherhood of Light was interrupted by the death of Solomon. As a result, this rightful bloodline of priest kings had to go into the underground to seek refuge from the outer world once again. This seclusion was brought about by the Dark Brotherhood's rise to power, with the Neo-Assyrian conquest, which was maneuvered by the secretive Babylonian Brotherhood under a new name and new region, Assyria. This move by Marduk's forces placed Tiglath-Pileser, the second in power, who was a direct descendant of Nimrod. Pileser became emperor and conqueror in 960 BC as the temporary kingdom of Zion, or Light, fell. Pileser's reign continued with his son and successor Shurapal, and later through the grandson Shalmaneser III and his great-grandson Shalmaneser IV. By 729 BC, and after Shalmaneser IV's reign, his son Tiglath-Pileser III reclaimed and received the restoration of the Third Babylonian Empire, which evolved out of the Neo-Assyrian conquest. Here is the connection to the Babylonian networks. Pileser's third reign was followed by Nabopolassar, who was of Babylonian origin, since Nabu was the son of Marduk. The reign of Nabopolassar was then followed by his son Nabonassar, who by 626 BC had Babylon merged sovereign over Assyria. Therefore, the rise of Tiglath-Pileser was obviously a vehicle and stepping stone for the resurrection and rise of the Third Babylonian Empire. With this in place, now we had a full resurrection of the Babylonian Empire, as Nabonassar's reign was followed by our biblical Nebuchadnezzar. According to biblical scripture, it was this kingdom the prophet Daniel described as the head of gold, the system of the beast, Draco Reptilian. In the biblical account, the prophet Daniel warned King Nebuchadnezzar that his kingdom represented the head of gold, and used the allegory of the four beasts, describing the rise and fall of the succeeding empires that would follow his reign in the last days of the age of the Ram. For the record, the reign of Nebuchadnezzar was considered the third resurrection of the Babylonian Empire, which again was the expedition of the reptilian-human hybrid bloodline of the Dark Brotherhood that stemmed from the Ham-Cush-Nimrod lineage. At this point, around 625 BC, and as prophesied by the prophet Daniel of the White Brotherhood, there was a succession of attempts to overtly establish the empire under the direction of the dark forces. As for the Brotherhood of Light, the ongoing order of Melchizedek had to resort to the underground and remain hidden after the reign of Solomon, but would still guide the ancient Israelites through their prophets. However, the Brotherhoods of Light were not inactive. During their refuge in secret, the Brotherhood of Light established a network of benevolent secret societies known as the Order of the Left and Right Eye of Horus. This was a continuation of the spiritual teachings of the ancient mystery schools that began in Egypt and that were later refined by Moses in the composition of the Kabbalah. The whole purpose of this mystical school revival was to train spiritually enlightened people, especially those of the Davidic bloodline that descended from the ancient bloodline of Horus and Enlil, Jehovah, Zeus, to become even purer than they already were in order to facilitate a higher vibration in their bloodline in preparation for the coming of the most radiant one, Jesus the Christ. The mental discipline and spiritual exercises practiced by the Horus mystical schools are designed to raise the vibrations of the celestial bloodline through meditation, prayer, and spiritual devotion, etc. Of course, the Brotherhood of Melchizedek knew that the most radiant one would come from the priest-king line of King David. This discipline began with the descendants of King David and culminated later with Mary and Joseph, who were also high initiates in the mysteries of the Order of Melchizedek, as direct descendants of the celestial bloodline. When the time was right, after the close of the age of the Aries ram, Mary, who carried the highest concentration of mitochondria, indicative of celestial DNA, was impregnated by our Creator in order to give birth to the highest vibrational human being that ever walked the earth, Jesus the Christ. In Christian traditions, he was known as the Lion of Judah. It was his coming that shifted the entire planetary frequency because he carried such a high level of light quotient purity that totally transformed the energy field of the entire planet, shifting its direction into the age of Pisces. Now, regarding the activities of the Dark Brotherhood, we know from both biblical revelations and historical events that Babylon has always been considered the abomination of the world. In fact, in our biblical text, Babylonia is known as the horror of the earth, the abomination of God, the desolation of desecration, etc. And in the words of Jesus Christ himself, the brotherhood of Satan, or the hidden hand, in short, the timeline of world domination exercised by the Dark Brotherhood and their bloodlines, became the source of world oppression through all of history. According to the book of Daniel, the system of the beast was first Babylonian, which reemerged sovereign with the conquest led by Pilasar III, then later to be replaced with Nabopolassar, who succeeded by Nebuchadnezzar, who in turn was succeeded by Nebuchadnezzar by the year 625 BC. Then, as the book of Daniel describes, and as indicated by astrology, the Babylonian Empire was quickly replaced by the rise of the Medo-Persian Empire, who was controlled by the same Babylonian bloodlines through Cyrus the Great as conqueror. This empire was replaced by the Macedonian Empire of Alexander the Great, who, according to Zechariah Sitchin, was documented to be a descendant of the Babylonian Nabu-Nimrod line. And finally, the Macedonian Empire was replaced by the Roman Empire, the last of the beast Dracon systems that were to overtly impose a system of absolute control and power. This succession of empires was executed by the Dark Brotherhood of Marduk, a fourth-dimensional aspect of Satan, because they knew that their age, Aries, was soon ending. Luckily, the Brotherhood of Light has always banded together to bring down every attempt at establishing the empire. As in the case of the sovereign nation states of Elam, Anshan, and Martini during times of the expanding Egyptian empire, to the rebel states of the Greeks, Spartans, during the rise of the Medo-Persian Empire, as demonstrated in the great Hollywood film The 300 Club, and finally the rebel states that collapsed Rome to its knees, historically known as the 10 unknown barbaric tribes that worked in tandem to collectively bring down what history considered the most powerful empire ever. As mentioned, after the reign of Solomon, the Brotherhood of Light went into the deep refuge and later culminated as the benevolent secret society of the Qumran community, who was connected with the spiritual orders of Egypt, India, Tibet, Spain, Gaul, and England, Ireland. Another thing to understand here is that King Herod, the Roman governor of Judah, was from an impostor bloodline designed to fool the powers of Rome, Babylon. The networks of light not only carefully guarded the celestial bloodline of messianic descent, but also preserved the Kabbalah and esoteric knowledge, which was the higher divine knowledge that culminated with the community of Qumran, the essence, and other mystical orders during the times of Jesus. The existence of the benevolent secret society of the Essenes, of the essence, is now coming to light thanks to the risen records of the Dead Sea Scrolls of the Nag Hammadi. According to these scrolls and other sources, including restored ancient holy books and channeled information, the essence set themselves apart from the rest of society. In order to continue the great divine plan in secret, it was this secret brotherhood, sisterhood of illumined souls or saints that provided a haven for the coming Messiah. They understood universal laws and divine knowledge and applied all that they knew daily. In fact, most biblical characters, like John the Baptist, during the times of Jesus, were members of this secret society of priest and priestess who became practitioners of the ancient Egyptian mysteries of Thoth, Hermes, Enoch. This benevolent secret society became well crafted in all the esoteric sciences, from alchemy to masonry, and therefore the Bible describes Joseph, the father of Jesus, as a carpenter, who in its original Hebrew term meant an alchemist. Not to mention that Joseph was also the reincarnated ascended master of light, Saint Germain, who was chosen by the order of Melchizedek to act as the primary protector of the Messiah. Again, this is the same line of David's sonship that stems back to ancient Egypt through the lineage of Horus/Enlil and their direct descendants, which, as revealed earlier, could be traced back to Nibiru. It is no doubt that the early Israelites were from the direct line of the royal house of Avion. Now, in connections to the continued celestial line of righteous priest-kings, here is another revelation. History had us believe that Rome was collapsed by 10 barbaric tribes. Well, the truth of the matter is that those supposedly 10 barbaric tribes were none other than the lost 10 tribes of Israel that fled Mesopotamia during the diaspora of the early Israelites. They became the early European nation states of the Franks, of early Gaul France, the Celts of ancient England and Ireland, the Visigoths of Spain, the Ostrogoths of Portugal, the Vandals of the Middle East, and Burgundians of Italy, the Lombards of Sicily and Lower Italy, as well as the Saxons, Normans, and Nordics of Northern Europe. These were the sovereign nation-states and spiritual lands of the lost ten tribes of Israel before the rise of modern European culture. Therefore, these pre-European spiritual cultures coexisted during the times of the Roman Empire without being detected by Babylon, for they were the lost 10 tribes of the program Israel. After all, the ancient practices of the Druids of pre-European settlements were all influenced by the secret brotherhood of light as the essence of the community of Quorum operating in secret from the caves of Nag Hammadi in Judea. Now, following the collapse of the Roman Empire, the Dark Brotherhood once again took control of the new affairs as the Jedi bloodline of the Messianic descent of the Essene secret society once again disseminated into the refuge. After settling for a couple of hundred years in India, the Brotherhood of Light transferred the Holy Bloodline to its new location in the south of France. After Rome, the Dark Brotherhood reorganized as the Whore of the Earth, as revealed in the Bible in Revelation 17. This was the immediate solution to consolidate the power of the church and state so that the Dark Brotherhood may spiritually control the new monarchies of early Europe, with the result being the resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire. This move by the Dark Brotherhood plunged our world into the darkest ages as a last desperate resort to resurrect the empire under the facade of religion, which was launched by the last of the Roman emperors, Constantine, who was also a heavy carrier of the reptilian gene. Considering today's knowledge, the Holy Roman Empire became the source of all corruption and a vehicle for the Dark Brotherhood from that time on till the present day. This situation was the reemergence of the old Babylonian religion of idolatry and dogma, once again placing the emphasis on God as something outside ourselves. This Holy Roman Empire placed itself as the only mediator between the heavens and earth and was sponsored by the followers of Marduk. In the Bible, the prophets warn, "You shall know them by their fruits, and beware of false prophets that will deceive many." If the results were the darkest ages ever experienced at the influence of this institution, then it was of darkness. The Holy Roman Empire's real agenda has always been world domination, Babylon, not spiritual liberation. And when we pick it back up, my friends and family, we will be in chapter 14, the inheritors and successors of the Order of the Essene. from about 900 AD to the present. And we leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. Until then, my beautiful friends and family, and go on ahead and snug up to the fire and warm up. Until next time. Oh shoot, I almost forgot the script liner.